MMA Gossip, episode 12. The boys are back in your life. The usual: like, subscribe, all the above. Instagram, Twitter, Gmail at MMA Gossip. If you're on YouTube, obviously you're watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. The big giant red button on the bottom right of your screen. Hit that thing, baby. It's Chris back with Mike and Matt doing the usual. If you're here by now, episode 12, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. And we're going to roll right into it. We're going to review last week's card, Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo. This week's card, Alexander Volkov versus Curtis Blaydes. And, do what the Gossip boys do. We're going to gossip about some MMA, baby.
Yep, and the new thing that we're actually going to implement is we're going to keep record of our picks. So, starting with last week, Matt is in first place. He went 8-2 on his picks. Chris came in second place with 7-3 on his picks, and I'm in dead last with 6-4 on my picks. And so let's get right into it, boys. Let's go with the first fight of the night where me and Chris kind of bombed. And Matt, you got this one correct, I'm pretty sure. You picked Christian Aguilera. Yeah, so basically Christian Aguilera came in there, 59 seconds, put the beat down on Anthony Ivy. Might as well do it plus odds with new guy. What do you think, Matt?
Honestly, I was still scrambling to get the fights on. So this was the only fight I didn't watch. So I was just happy I logged into my account. And so I hit a quick and easy one. Chris?
Honestly, bro, Anthony Ivy looks scared to get hit. It was not good from the get-go. I regretted my pick instantly. First punch of the fight, I was like, 0-1. Quick 0-1, too. The first three fights we're going to talk about, I think, first 3 or 4 fights, quick fights, seconds. And that's what usually happens on these poopy cards. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get a little excitement. I mean, I'm not saying the card wasn't poop overall, which we'll get into, but Anthony Ivy, poopy.
Yeah, it was not a good outing for his first fight, especially with he was a minus 190 at the closing line. So that was not a good look for him. More props to Christian Aguilera. On to the next one. We had Tyson Nam. 32 seconds, knocked out Zaruk Adashev, who was kind of hyped up to be a good stand-up guy. And again, me and Chris go 0-2 on the night so far. Tyson Nam knocked his ass out 32 seconds in, and that's all she wrote. What do you think, Matt?
I was pumped about this one because I knew this was one of those fights that, if I was going to pull ahead of you guys, this was it. I was the only one to pick Nam. Again, quick and easy. I got out to 2-0 start, which never happens to me ever. So I was not complaining. That was dude. He cracked him too. He was out fucking cold. Chris, you lost this one too, right? Yeah.
Of course I did, bro. I was 0-2. This is the fastest 0-2 I ever went in my life. I didn't bet on either one of these fights, so I didn't lose. Luckily, did not lose on either one of these fights. But yeah, quick 0-2 for the boys. Adashev was really underperformed, like you said. I know he has a kickboxing record. He has 20 fights. I think he won 17 of them or something like that. So I was expecting a lot more out of him. But yeah, Tyson Nam, he's a little bit slow, but he looked really fucking good in that fight. So quick one. Quick 0-2. It was good to see Nam. He deserved that, though. He's been around for a minute, so I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, and we said it last week. Nam can hit hard for 125. And we were talking about he's a little bit slow. He's getting older, but, I mean, more props to him. Zaruk, bad debut. Obviously, there was not enough time to prepare for it. I look forward to seeing him again with a full training camp, but we'll see. As of right now, Nam deserved it, and that's exactly what happened. Up next, we had Julia Vila destroyed Gina Mazzani in 22 seconds. As the favorite, that's exactly what she should have done anyway. Matt?
Yeah, this one, I think I told you guys to toss this in there as a parlay. No, that was Agapova. I'm sorry. But either way, another quick and easy one. There wasn't much money to be made here. She was a massive favorite. And then post-fight press conference, Dana White was actually giving her and Agapova, who we'll get to, a shout-out saying, these are the kind of fighters we want to – if they're winning that quick, the way the UFC is working right now, get them back in there, keep them active, because this is the way they're going to grow, and this is what the people want to see. So shouts out to her for getting the job done nice and easy. Chris?
Yeah, actually, so one of mine and Matt's friends, Justin, his dad asked me for a 3-fight parlay, and I put Avila in it. I mean, granted, she's the biggest favorite on the whole card, but that was, just a little juice in there. And then just, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I put in her straight up, and then Vittori by stoppage, and Calvillo by decision. So he won some pretty good money on that. So he said he's going to buy the MMA Gossip boys a case of beer. So I'll be looking forward to that. But Raging Panda does what she does. That was quick and easy, made me comfortable. I took a breath of fresh air after going 0-2. Nice 1-2, little 1-2 action.
Yeah, good to get back on the win streak right there. We all had her winning, and it couldn't have been any easier. Up next, Merab Dvalishvili broke his own takedown record again for the third time, I'm pretty sure, and destroyed Gustavo Lopez in a 3-round decision. Wasn't exciting, but this was exactly how everyone thought it was going to play out. He was a minus 900, absolutely crazy, but he showed why he deserved to be a minus 900, and I'm excited to see what's next for Merab. What do you think, Matt?
After seeing this fight unfold, I'm actually really upset that Borg dropped out because it would have been a scrap. And with those odds, I think it would have been a fun fight if you had Borg, because what Merab was doing is kind of Borg's game. Hopefully everything's okay with Borg. Was it something with his son? I know he posted about it. Yeah, so God bless him and his family. Obviously that comes first, but Merab 30-25, 30-26, 30-26. He did what a massive favorite's supposed to do. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him first Borg at some point after seeing the way that he went into that fight. I'm thinking to be I used to, and you both will vouch, I used to hate those kind of fights. Like the grappling exchanges and all the just all that shit. I wanted to see people bang. And as I grew more into the sport and started doing jiu-jitsu myself, I started to appreciate it more. So seeing that for 3 rounds to me was a lot of fun. I would love to see him do it with somebody that I think can hang with him. Chris?
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I got to say, I know people are making a big deal. I think so. Merab has, I don't have the number off the top of my head, say 5 or 6 UFC fights, right? And he has X amount of takedowns, somewhere near 60 takedowns. And everyone's like, oh my God, he did this in 6 fights. GSP had 30 fights and he only had 90 takedowns. He's going to break GSP's record. It's like, that's all good. But if you have, 12 takedowns a fight, it means that people are getting up. Whereas if you're under GSP, you're not getting up. You know what I mean? So take that with a grain of salt. But no, I can't take away from his performance. He looked great. He called out Sean O'Malley after the fight, which I think, I don't want to say a wasted call out, but he's not fighting Sean O'Malley. So I'm curious to see where he goes from here. I mean, he's really good. He looked really good again. Like Matt said, I'd love to see the Ray Borg fight down the line. The issue with Ray Borg has been ongoing with his son. I think his son's name is Anthony. He has a shunt, which I was actually talking to a girl that Justin's sister, Brittany. She's a nurse. She said that a shunt is basically like it helps drain fluid from your brain. So Ray Borg's son's had issues with that before, and luckily this time it looked like an issue, but it was just a blip on the radar, and his son was all good, in fact. So love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because, Chris, about the getting up 13, if you get taken down 13 times, you're getting up roughly 12 times. Compare that to someone that's as dominant as Khabib, man. If you get taken down, you're not getting up. So, props to Merab. He is a machine. Nobody really wants to fight him, but he's going to hit a wall at some point. He's going to eventually run into somebody that's going to nullify his takedowns and eventually just get tagged because his stand-up is less than average, especially in this weight division where there's a bunch of killers, at 135 striking wise. But props to him. Can't take anything away from them. Look forward to Gustavo Lopez getting a full training camp. A lot of guys, especially during this quarantine, are fighting on such short notice, so it's hard to knock them for any performances. Up next, we had Mariah Agapova submitted Hannah Cifers in round 1 at the 2-minute and 42-second mark and made it look easy. And Cifers falls to 0-2 in a matter of 2 weeks. Matt?
Yeah, we're just moving down the line here. And as you guys notice a trend on this card, up until this point, there was not a close fight. Like, the favorites were winning, and they were winning easy. Like, she wiped the floor with her. And, again, Dana White shouted her out as well, as I mentioned before with Avila. Get her back in there and keep it moving, and let's see what all these young guns got to bring to the table. Chris?
I agree, man. She looked like Joanna-esque in her striking. You know what I mean? I know it's a big friggin' jump, but she looked really good. She looked like she was way bigger than Hannah Cifers, too. She looked like she was like 6 inches taller. I actually watched this fight with my mom and my aunt, 2 people who never watch fights ever. And they were like, oh my God, at how bad Agapova was putting the beat down on Hannah Cifers. She dominated her on the feet and then wrapped up that guillotine. Or no, it was a rear naked. It was rear naked, right? And she brought her to the mat. That's what it was. And it was very, very dominant performance. I think she had a failed attempt on the Contender Series, and I think the UFC was really upset about that because they knew that this was potentially her potential. So I think it was really good to see her get a win that dominantly, and they're trying to get her right back in there, and I'm excited to see who she'll take on next.
Yeah, very excited to see her. If anything, she looked, I think, the most impressive out of all the girls on this particular card. She looked great. So look forward to seeing her again. Hannah Cifers, where do you go from here? I don't know. Take some time off, sharpen up your game because you're not getting any younger, and it seems to be like you're not getting any better either. Up next, we have Jordan Espinoza just outclassed Mark De La Rosa for 3 rounds. Matt.
I'll tell you where Hannah Cifers goes. She's going to Bellator with Mark De La Rosa. We talked about this last week. Both Espinoza and De La Rosa were on skids, right? Espinoza looked like a fucking UFC champion in this fight. He won 30-26, 30-27, 30-27. De La Rosa looked like he never fought before against a guy that, no offense, he ain't that great. Off to Bellator. Scott Coker, nice to meet you. Chris?
Who did you bet on that fight? I'm just going to take a wild guess.
Espinoza, dude. Yeah, I took Espinoza.
I was going to say, I think you were hating on Mark De La Rosa because you lost on him. Oh, my God, man. But, yeah, no, that fight, that was another fight that was not close. I saw someone on Twitter, it's kind of mean, but it said it looks like Mark De La Rosa got his black belt at the corner store, which is mean. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where he goes from here. I think what is he on, a 3-fight losing streak, or does that make it 4? 4, I think. So, yeah, I don't know where he goes from here if the UFC is even there. I mean, props to him, though, taking fights during quarantine. I'm sure they'll give him, some credit for that. Training camps are weird. The smaller cage maybe makes it weirder for them, too. I'm not sure. We could go into that, the smaller cage. Dana says it doesn't affect anyone. But I don't know. There's a lot of stoppages on these cards, so we'll see. But, yeah, I mean, props to Espinosa. He looked good, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if Espinoza, he looked calm and calculated to the point where he is good. He's athletic. His stand-up is, pretty good. Mark De La Rosa is just somebody that he needed to beat to get back on track, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for Jordan. It's just a matter of can he put it all together, and, we'll see. The future will hold for him, but as of right now, a win over Mark isn't very impressive, but it was necessary for him to continue his career in the UFC. So I do look forward to seeing that again. Up next, my heart was kind of broken. Charles Jourdain loses a split decision to Andre Fili in a really awesome, highly technical, skilled matchup. And my point was proven that he shouldn't have been a plus 195 at the closing line because he was right in there the whole time. What do you think, Matt?
Finally, it took us 15 fights to get a close one, right? But no, this, all jokes aside, this was a great fight. And the difference for me in this fight, it just came down to, what Team Alpha Male does. That Fili owned the grappling exchanges. He landed takedowns. And the exchanges on the feet, in my opinion, were very, very close. And I think he edged out with his grappling. It's mixed martial arts, and Fili showed more in there. He mixed it up a little bit more than Jourdain did, in my opinion. And that's why he edged out the dub, especially in that third round. He knew that there was a chance the scorecards were tied, and he went out there and put it on in that third round. And I love Fili, so I was pumped to see it, man. And Jourdain, Mike, you were right. I mean, I think he's going to be pretty fucking good. And facing a guy, as I mentioned last week with Fili, that's been in there with top of the food chain guys, he really did hang in there. And I don't agree with those closing odds at all. Chris?
Yeah, dude, that was the fight of the night, in my opinion, right? That was the best fight. I mean, I don't think that's arguable. But anyway, Fili looked really good. He's coming to his own, you know what I mean? Fili's been on a roll lately. It looks like he had I think, what's his name? Yair Rodriguez, knocked a better fighter into him. After that knockout loss, that brutal knockout loss, he looks better than ever, man. So props to Fili. But Jourdain, man, he looked really good. Mike was all over that. I'm pumped that Mike was so onto that because now I'm just gonna start watching Jourdain his fights way more intently. He's only 24, so it's gonna be a treat to watch him grow and develop in the UFC, man. That's crazy. He looks so good. He dropped Fili in the first round with that left hand, and that could have been a completely different fight if there's a little more time. But who knows? But yeah, like Matt said, The takedowns kind of were the key. I think it was 1-1 going into the third. Feely was winning the third, and the takedown absolutely solidified it. So I think that's where he got it.
I know I mentioned Team Alpha Male before. I could be wrong on this. Did Feely mix it up before this and train elsewhere or no?
Not that I know of.
I thought I heard somebody say that during the fights in the commentary, but all right, just making sure.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Jourdain, I think he had a plus 18 strike differential at the conclusion of the fight. So he technically, by the numbers, landed more strikes. But like you said, the grappling is what made the difference. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter complaining that, Feely did a takedown, but he did nothing with it. But, I mean, it shows aggression. It shows you're taking the fight where you want to take it, And so, like, I do agree with the decision. I'm not trying to defend Jourdain at all. I do think Andre won a very, very close decision. But believe me when I say Charles Jourdain, I'm going to be following him and putting money on him almost every single fight, man, because he is dangerous no matter what. Like, he will fight you until he's dead or unconscious or arm is broken. And I love that about him. Feely, up and up, man, top 5. Give him a top 5. He deserves it. I can't promise you that he's going to do well in the top 5 because there's a bunch of killer sharks up there, but he deserves to be there nonetheless. Up next, we had Kevin the Dad Bod Aguilar going up against Charles Rosa, and Charles Rosa won a decision, and this fight was just so bad. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was Kevin Aguilar looking like crap or it was just Charles Rosa showing up, but either way, I just was like, please, next fight, Matt.
Dude, fuck this guy. He ruined my whole night. He ruined, gambling-wise, ruined the whole night. Like, in this second fight in a row that he's burned me. And if there was a place I thought Aguilar would win this fight is, stand up. I thought he would just outbox him, and he didn't. Didn't Rosa drop him, if I'm not mistaken? No, he didn't. But he stung him a couple. Oh, no. I think it was the tail end of the first round. He wobbled him pretty bad. Aguilar had chicken legs. He didn't go down, but he just got outstruck, man. It's just not how I saw this fight going at all. But, second fight in a row. We've seen Aguilar lose. He moved up a weight class for this too, no? Because he definitely looks smaller in there. Definitely looks smaller. Yeah, I figured. But, definitely will be fading him the next time out. And props to Rosa, man. He's had a couple tough fights. What did he lose? I think he lost either 2 or 3 in a row because I know he lost to Bryce Mitchell. Before that, I think he actually got knocked out by somebody. But either way, man, good to see him get a win. Not going to rip on him or anything like that, but fuck you, Aguilar. Chris?
Yeah, I was just looking right now. Actually, it's funny that you said that. Before the Bryce Mitchell fight, he beat Manny Bermudez, and that was his return fight from his surgery. So,
yeah, Chris, remember you had me bet him, and I was like, dude, who is this? I didn't know who it was. No, Mike had me bet him. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I saw him fighting. He was getting beat up, and I'm like, fuck you, Mike. And he pulls this submission off out of nowhere, and you're like, I told you.
He had his toes.
Yeah.
But no one said anything. He had his toes in the cage when he got that arm bar, but referee didn't say anything, so he got him anyway. But no, I mean, Charles Rosa is not anything special. I think it just goes to show Kevin Aguilar is a bust. When I saw him fight at Dan Ige, I thought, like, okay, this guy's good. He's got some awesome stand-up. The fight was close, and then he just kind of got beat up in the third round. And then he gets knocked out in his next fight, and then he comes in here, and I think he's still got it. The thing is, if you watch all his fights over the course of his career, he gets into brawls, and I think it's finally catching up to him that he can't hang with them anymore. He can't take these punches anymore, and I think he was afraid to get hit. And Charles Rosa is somebody that you should not be afraid to get hit by, and that's kind of what happened. And he lost a decision, and he deserved to lose. It was not even close. I mean, I thought it was a split decision, but I thought Charles Rosa soundly beat him. But up next, we have the most handsome guy in the UFC, rear naked choke win against Carl Roberson, who seemed to fold like a lawn chair. What do you think, Matt?
Somewhere Luke Rockhold is cringing over that most handsome comment. After all that trash talk, after that exchange in the hotel, the intense stare downs, man, I was pumped for the Italian Stallion. I was really pumped to see that. He looks good, man. People forget that he went to split against Adesanya, right? He's good. I'm pumped to see him move forward. He made quick work of Roberson. Quick work. I think we might see him in a main event soon, a fight night main event. I wouldn't be surprised at all after this one. He clearly has the trash talk after this whole thing. They might try to push him a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised. He's the kind of fighters you see get pushed, especially because he's Italian, because there's not many Italian fighters in the UFC. So, keep an eye out for. What?
Sorry about that. I was just doing a quick rundown. I was just reading Vittori's background. He's 26. I didn't realize he was that young. I thought he was like 28. So he's 26 years old. He'll be 27 this year, but regardless, he's very promotable. He's very fucking handsome. Mike's girlfriend, as we all know, loves the guy. So, bitches love him. Guys love him. He looked really good, though, all jokes aside. He looked really good. That was a heated fight going in. No glove touch as expected. Roberson missing weight this time, pulling out last time, and then going in there and just folding. Like, that's embarrassing. So, I don't know where Roberson goes from here, especially being that he fought at 205 and like he should be the bigger guy in the cage, and he got bullied around the cage. So, he looked slick on that one guillotine escape when he jumped off the cage. That was pretty cool. But like, other than that, that was not a competitive fight, not a close fight. I parlayed that. I hit that. I love that. Vittori's awesome. And yeah, him and Adesanya have been going back and forth. I'm not saying he's going to be fighting for the belt anytime soon, but he could get into the top 15, win a fight. You're in the top 10, win one more, you could be 2 away, and then, chirp it Adesanya, and we'll get that split decision win, turn it into a title shot, and fucking, how the UFC works. Win a couple fights looking that impressive, and you're right back in there.
Yeah.
Give him Brad Tavares. He's the ultimate. He's the number one gatekeeper in that division. You want to see if a guy's ready to start fighting like top 10-ish, it's just Brad Tavares. Every single time it's in that division.
Yep. Just ask Edmund Shabazian, knocked his ass out. But no, Vittori, he didn't look like Robertson didn't look like he was in that fight even for a second. He was on the defense the whole time. And yeah, like he got out of that guillotine with a cool athletic move, but then Vittori's like, all right, on to the next submission. And that was all she wrote. And then we get to the main event. Jessica Evil Eye loses a unanimous decision to Cynthia Calvillo, and she really wasn't even in the fight at all. I don't remember the scorecards, but I couldn't imagine it being any more than a 49-46 across the board. Like Calvillo definitely won that fight handily, and she looked good doing it. It wasn't like overly impressive. She was definitely a little bit small in there, but she soundly beat Jessica Eye, who, I don't know if she's ever looked that bad besides her KO loss to Shevchenko. What do you think, Matt?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I said I have a confession to make. I bet Jessica Eye. You want to know? I have a reason behind it, though. I saw a stat. I forget what the numbers were. I should have probably got it for the podcast. That fighters moving up a weight class in that specific division have just gotten manhandled. Granted, I did hammer the over, like absolutely hammer it. So I wasn't mad about the fight, and I'm pumped for Cynthia. Again, though, like thinking big picture, I just really don't see what this does for the UFC. Like, not shitting on Cynthia, but you would be a number one contender, but the number one contender in comparison to Shevchenko, it's like you're falling off a cliff. Someone asked if they think Cynthia's ready for a title shot. I don't want to see her get in there against Shevchenko. You nuts? Like, I don't know, Chris, what do you think?
2 things on that. First of all, if now that I know you bet I texted the group chat the night of. I was like, I have a 3-0 Calvillo, and Matt says 3-0 I. And now I fucking know why, dude. I hate you, bro. There's no way you thought that was a 3-0 going through 3. No chance in hell. But I thought Jessica I won the first round, and I thought Calvillo won every round after that. If looking in hindsight, at the time, like I judged it, like I just said, I had it 3-0 through 3. I watched the fight twice, and I could see why the judges would give the first round to Jessica. But with that said, I basically scored a 5-0 Cynthia watching it live. After watching it one more time, I have it 4-1. And like you said, I don't think she's ready for a title shot. I don't think anyone in that division is ready for a title shot, if I'm being quite honest. At least she, it's a breath of fresh air seeing, a new face in the division. She belongs to this division. She missed weight at 115. She could barely get there. I think she looked good. She looked healthy. She went 5 rounds on 3 weeks' notice. So Yeah, I don't know. And no offense, no disrespect to Jessica Ai, but she's not a number one contender. She beat Caitlin Chookagian by like a happy birthday split decision and fought Valentina and got absolutely embarrassed. That's not a number one contender. I mean, honestly, I think Caitlin Chookagian is still the number one contender, even though she lost very handily to Shevchenko as well. But I think Calvillo versus Chookagian makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. And if you saw on Twitter, she actually chirped out at Calvillo and said, let's book this fight. And I can see why. I think Chookagian actually dominates Calvillo in a fight like this, especially because she's just so much bigger and better on the feet. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, also one more thing on that. After the fight, so I missed weight, and it was by a quarter of a pound, but supposedly it came out that she had texted Calvillo's manager, or I's manager texted Calvillo's manager saying that I was going to miss weight and weighed 129 30 minutes before weigh-ins. So there's no way she got down to 126 and a quarter in 30 minutes. So they were saying like she pulled the towel, and I know Joanne Calderwood called her out on that before, with no background, no insight into this. She called her out for holding the towel. So here we go with another controversy on that. And it looked in the octagon, they looked like they were a weight class apart, and Cynthia was able to take her down, take her back, and keep her there. So that's more props to Cynthia. So she's a true whatchamacallit, a true 125er.
100%. I fucking damn it. I keep forgetting to unmute myself. I just want to reiterate when Mike said I would put the house on Chookagian if she fought Cynthia. Nothing in Cynthia. I just don't think that's a fight that she's meant to win. Like, as Mike said, the stand-up's much better. I don't think she would get her to the ground nearly as easier. Chookagian's long, man. She's really long. I think that Cynthia would have a hard time getting inside. I would love to see it because, say Cynthia wins, this division needs an injection of talent pretty fucking bad. So I'm all here for it, but I'd be betting Chookagian in that fight.
All right, and let's transition from last week's event to this week's event. And just right off the bat, we were discussing a little bit before we started the podcast. A lot of these fights are low level or just uninteresting in terms of the division in which they fight in. So if we do breeze over a couple of these fights, just know it's for a good reason. We focus on the high profile matchups, the contender matchups, the prospects, and we will touch upon everyone, and we will make our picks, and we will record them for the podcast, but just bear with us for the fights that are a little bit low level. For example, the first fight, Austin Hubbard, the ever underestimated Austin Hubbard, who I like a lot, is going against a new guy after Joe Selecti dropped out. His name is Max Roskopf, and he's 5-0, and Austin Hubbard is 11-4. And apparently the UFC, the Vegas matchmaker, the Vegas odds makers have Max at a -167 with Austin Hubbard at a +120. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Just based off of what I read this an hour ago, I'm going with Max in this one. He has 5 wins, 4 rear naked chokes, and 1 anaconda. And Austin Hubbard just doesn't seem to really have it in the grappling department yet. His last time out, he lost to Mark Madsen. It was a lot closer than people would remember because that last round, Hubbard almost stopped it. He really put it on him in the last round. And Mike actually switched his pick last minute, if I remember correctly. I'm a Hubbard fan too. I really like him. But when it comes to, I always have a bias. When a guy's strength is grappling, I always seem to bet them just because it seems safe. It might not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. So I don't know. And I wish Joe Selecti was taking this fight. Shout out to my buddy Gabe, trains with him down in Central-ish Jersey. I would have been pulling for you, buddy, but hopefully next time. Chris?
Yeah, this is a weird one for me because I like Austin Hubbard as well. And Matt just said I think Hubbard's about a +150 underdog. And with Selecki in the fight, I think he was +140. So it's kind of odd. You get a short notice replacement on less than a week, and you're a bigger underdog after that. So that really shows. I don't know too much about Max, but I am going to fade him based on what I read, or fade Austin rather, based on what I read about Max today as well. He looks like a stud, and I think the UFC is going to be kind of high on him as a newcomer.
it seems to me like the UFC just somehow doesn't like Austin Hubbard because they keep putting him in these matchups where he's at against grapplers. But the thing is, I mean, Max is he works with trains with Drysdale. He's a collegiate one wrestler, so his grappling credentials are off the charts. But Austin Hubbard, he was an LFA champ, and he's still young. He's coming into his own. He's 28 years old. He lost to Davi Ramos and Mark Madsen, two freaks on the ground, and he has one win. I think it was like over Kyle Prepolek or something like that, but it was a stand-up bout, and he looked great. But the thing is, I think I'm just going to tell you right off the back. I'm picking Austin Hubbard because he's constantly being underrated. He's constantly being put up against grapplers. So he's training for that. And this guy's coming in on very, very short notice with 5-0. And I'm going to go with the vet here. I think the vet uses that vet savviness and kind of humbles Max here in his first loss. But at the end of the day, if he takes Austin Hubbard down and grinds him out for decision, I won't be surprised. I think Austin Hubbard knows what he needs to do to win. He's been training for this fight longer than Max has. He's an LFA champion. He's a veteran of the game. I just think that'll be enough to take him to a decision. And 29-28 right there, maybe even a split. I'll take it. All right, up next we got, oh my God, this is one of the matches I was talking to you guys about. It's just Lauren Murphy, who's 12-4, going up against Roxanne Modafferi. I don't have much to say about this one, so Matt, get right into it because I'm not going to say much.
I mean, not to knock this fight or anything, and I really can't because Roxanne's won me a lot of money. There's a lot of times that she's a big underdog. Macy Barber fight, Antonina Shevchenko, big dog. I bet her both times she wins, but then she goes and loses to fucking Jennifer Maia. Riddle me that. I don't know, but if you're hungry, if you need some more beer, this is the fight I'm getting it during, unfortunately. I would bet the over. I'd hit the liquor store. But I'm going with Roxanne here. There's no way I'm betting Lauren Murphy. It's just not happening. Chris?
Barb. That was Eddie Alvarez on Tough. He used to call Lauren Murphy Barb because he kept mixing her up with Barb Honchak, which is hilarious. But and she gets pissed when you say that. All her haters say that, and I'm a Lauren Murphy hater, so I felt like I had to say it. But I'm going with Roxanne on this one too. This is going to be a snooze fest. This is going to be a 3-round decision. Honestly, the odds should be a pick 'em because they're both win one, lose one. Lauren Murphy, I think, has been on a little bit of a roll maybe, and Roxanne just kind of is Roxanne. She's fought about 500 professional fights, so you never count her out. She just she wins the fight she's supposed to lose and loses the fight she's supposed to win, and she's supposed to win this one, so she's probably going to lose, but I'm still going to pick her because, this is just one of those ones. And if you think I'm texting, boys, by the way, I just got 2 text messages randomly from people asking if the podcast is out yet. It's kind of cool. So we got some fans, boys. We have some fans. Wasn't going to say. But with that being said, yeah, I'm going Roxanne. She just seems more sound everywhere. She has a lot more experience, and she just is always game. So I'll pick Roxanne, knee pads and all.
Fucking Lauren Murphy's last fight was one that we actually ripped apart on this podcast, one of our first episodes against, what's her name? Andrea Lee.
KGB Lee.
Yeah, because we all thought that whole night was bad decisions everywhere, and that was one of them. I just looked it up because I remember her pissing me off recently, and sure enough, she did.
Yeah, both of these girls are on the wrong side of 35. They're both pushing 40 years old. I just think Roxanne is just a little bit better in the grappling department. If she gets it down, it'll be a 3-round decision all the way. I just think Lauren Murphy's just a step behind in every aspect compared to Roxanne, who's usually a step behind everybody else. So it's like Roxanne's just a little bit less sloppy, a little bit stronger in every area, and that's it. She deserves to be the slight favorite that she is. But up next, we have kind of a fun fight. Matt Frivola is 8-1, going up against Frank Camacho, who is 22-8, and they are both at a pick'em at -112. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Bro, this is a hard fight to pick, in my opinion. And I know I know you hate Camacho, but I don't know, man. He's fought some good guys. He's fought some really good guys, man. He fought Drew Dober. Look what Drew Dober's doing now. Fought Jeff Neal, Dariush, and Frivola, like you said, he's a quiet 8-1, very quiet. But I don't know, dude. This one's tough. I think I'm gonna go Camacho. I don't know. I think they're just gonna bang it out. That's what these guys do. Yeah, I'm gonna go Frank Camacho here. I just think he hits harder. I guess I don't even know. They're very similar fighters. I don't know, Chris. Maybe you could shed some light on this one.
I think my voice just cracked is what I think. But I think that Camacho is too tough for his own good and is willing to exchange in places where he shouldn't. And I mean, he's got a chin on him, but he's like the Walmart brand of Robbie Lawler. He's not as good as he thinks he is. And that sounds like a pure hater statement. I just think that Frivola is better kind of everywhere. And I think that the odds at Pick'em are great and definitely in Frivola's favor. So I'm definitely fading Camacho here. I just think that he's too flat-footed and he's gonna lose.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They both actually have been faced pretty stiff competition. Like you said, Frank Camacho's Dariush, Geoff Neal, Li Jinglian. He's a win over Nick Hines. So he's fought people, but when he loses soundly or gets knocked out. And Frivola, on the other hand, quietly has a draw with Lando Venata. He has a win over Jalen Turner, a split decision over Luis Pena, who was people thought it was controversial, but I do think that he edged that fight out. The only blemish on his record is he has a knockout loss to Marco Polo Reyes, who's a fucking trash can. So that's bad. I'm not gonna lie, that's a bad look. But I think that might be the sole reason why this fight is a pick'em. I just think that Frivola, he's got the takedown factor. That's what he did to Jalen Turner. That's what he did to Luis Pena. And I think that it's not going to be easy to take Frank Camacho down, and he definitely has to watch out for Camacho's power. But Frivola's a grinder, and if he can do that against Camacho, who doesn't have the best gas tank in the world, like I think he can just win this fight. And honestly, this is my lock of the night before you guys take him. I think that he soundly beats him, and I think there's tremendous value at -112. And if you want a little juice, I think you should put on by decision because I don't think Frivola finishes Camacho here. Camacho was just recently knocked the hell out. I think it was by Geoff Neal, just absolutely lights out. So I mean, maybe he'll come in this fight a little less hard-headed. Like you said, maybe, he's a Walmart version of Robbie Lawler. He's got to take a step back, man. He has to pick his punches, man. He can't just go out there doing that, man. He got embarrassed by Beneil Dariush. So I don't know. I just think Frivola is just better everywhere, and it's just going to be a really quick 29-28 or 30-27 across the board.
I'm switching my pick.
All right, there we go.
I'm going Frivola. You convinced me. And I do like your point, though, by decision, because out of his 8 wins, 4 of them by decision. He only has 1 knockout and then 3 subs. So I do like that bet there.
Yeah.
I'm going Frivola, too. I'm not going to fade your lock of the night. Fun fact, I haven't lost a lock yet. Granted, I was MIA for like 2 or 3 podcasts, but I'm undefeated with my lock still. So let's keep the train rolling.
Yeah, good man, man. Good man. All right. Next up, we got Courtney Casey, who's the ever active lately. She just had a recent armbar win over Romero Barella, who's not very good at all. But nonetheless, she has a good armbar win. Again, she's going against Jillian Robertson, who's 7-4, and Courtney Casey is 9-7. As of right now, they have Courtney at a +100, and Jillian Robertson's a slight favorite at -124. Matt.
Flip a coin. I'm gonna go Courtney Casey though. She has a solid win recently. No, who did she beat? Sorry guys, I'm looking it up really quick.
No, it's all right. She just submitted Borello in the first round via armbar, who she never finishes anybody. So I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Casey here. Hold on, I'm looking. Oh, that's who she fought recently, but she lost. Because I remember we just brought her up last week with Cynthia Calvillo. Angela Hill split decision win, and Angela Hill's been low-key hot. Some people thought she beat Claudia. Split against Waterson, split against Felice. Yeah, I'm gonna go Courtney Casey here. Chris?
I like Courtney Casey as well. Both of these girls are not that good, as both of their records will show. What did you say, Mike? Courtney Casey's about like 9-7, I think, something like that. I mean, granted, a lot of her losses, though, like Matt just said, are split decision losses to good competition. So her record could be a lot better. But with that being said, I'm going Jillian Robertson on this one. She seems a little afraid to get hit at times, but she does have that takedown game. So I hope that she comes to that takedown heavy and can grab a decision here. But for right now, I might change my pick on this one. I'm asterisking this one. I did it in my notes, and I'm going to take Jillian Robertson right now. But I want to see how the line moves. I want to see how they look at weigh-in. So Saturday, look out for that one. But as of right now, I'm going Jillian Robertson. Being based on the fact that she's afraid to get hit, I think that she will go for takedowns and get them.
Chris, I'm very glad you said that because I do agree with you. I don't think that she likes to get hit. I mean, who does? But she wears it on her sleeve when she gets hit. You know, you can tell that it bothers the hell out of her, and she kind of folds up and turns into a different fighter. Especially Macy Barber kind of put it on her. So yeah, she's 7-4. She got whooped by Barber. She has a couple good wins, but they aren't over good competition. You know, it was over Veronica Macedo, who's like pretty atrocious. She has a win over Molly McCann back in the day, so I guess that's kind of decent. But at the end of the day, I think that Courtney Casey has way, way, way more experience. She's tough as nails. She's never lost by anything other than a decision. And she's on a roll here. You know, Jillian's coming in here. She's young. She's 25 years old. And, you know, I'm eager to see how she bounces back from that Macy Barber fight because she got beat up really bad. And whereas Courtney Casey is coming off some momentum here with a sick armbar win. So I'm going to pick Courtney Casey at plus odds here. More experience with the momentum and pretty much even everywhere. So Jillian's tough. She's like, she can hit hard and she's got good elbows. But other than that, I just, like you said, I just think they're both middle of the pack fighters. And I think Courtney, veteran savvy, just takes this decision here. Up next, we have maybe the most hardest to bet fight of the night. We have Oscar Pichota going up against, Piota going up against Marc-Andre Barriault. We got Marc-Andre Barriault is a plus 110 and Oscar Piota is minus 127. Matt.
Yeah, guys, I hope that these picks are going well for you because there's a stretch of fights on this card between Frivola, Robertson, Piota, however you say it, where it's hard to pick a winner, and this fight is like battle of who keeps their job, in my opinion. I guess Barriault, is that even how you say his name? Marc-Andre Barriault? Yeah, I'm going to go him. I just can't get myself to bet on Piota or however you say his name after his last fight. He got his fucking doors blown off. Chris?
Dude, I wrote in my notes, terrible fight. This fight is just one of those ones, like you said, dude, it's funny. It's funny to laugh after they're fighting for their job. But maybe that'll make it a good fight, if that makes sense. But I'm going to go Piota just based on competition, I guess. Again, I think they both on 3-fight losing streaks, I believe. And yeah, so neither one of them. These are tough fights to pick, but I'm going Piota on this one.
Yeah, these guys are like mirror images of each other. Barriault is 11-4 and Piota is 11-3. The difference here that kind of swayed me is like they're both okay on the feet, but the thing is Piota got finished in his last 3 fights, 1 KO and 2 subs, whereas Barriault lost 3 decisions in which that he was, he's fighting the whole time. I just think that at plus 110, there's a little bit of value in Barriault, and Piota is coming in here after a starching KO loss to Soriano, who's like hits hard as fuck. So, oh my God, this one's so hard to pick. I'm just going to pick Barriault for the plus odds, and then he's a little bit tougher, takes punches a little bit better. And the thing about Piota, when he was fighting Gerald Meerschaert, I specifically watched this one the other day, he was whooping Meerschaert's ass in the first round. And then in the second round, he was absolutely gassed. And if Meerschaert was putting a clinic on him with elbows, punches, and eventually brought him to the mat and subbed his ass, I was like, that's a poor performance. And he followed that up with 2 more losses in a row. So Piota's got his back against the wall. So does Marc-Andre Barriault. I just think Marc-Andre Barriault is a little bit tougher. He takes punches better. And if he lands something on Piota that Piota doesn't like, I think he might keel over and just fucking die right there on the fucking octagon floor. So with that being said, I'm picking Barriault. I'm not confident in it. Don't tail me. I'm not placing money on it. I might not even watch this fight because it's such a bum fight. Next,
we're all going to watch it. He's completely watch every fight. And low key, I mean, he did go to split decision again. I mean, granted, MMA math does not make sense. He did go to split decision against Joko, who's quietly on a 3-fight win streak. He's not getting knocked out, like you said. So, yeah, I think Barriault.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. It's the most volatile sport in the world. So also, for those listening, if you are tailing us, please know that we are fans first and bettors second. We are not professional gamblers. Matt is a professional degenerate gambler, but that's a totally different story. please, if you tail us, please know that we are fans first. And when we make locks according to who we think is truly going to win. But when we make picks, that there's a lot of fan that goes into that as well. So please, if you tail us, tail with caution. Chris, you have something to say?
With that being said, like me and Mike, we'll sprinkle some parlays in there, some good picks. I usually bet on like just about every card. I'll sprinkle a parlay in just because I'm watching it anyway. It makes it even more exciting on some fights that I wouldn't be so high on. But then you get Matt texting me last night or the night before. Matt goes, I'm betting on NBA. I'm about to text him back being like, oh, shit, I didn't know. Like, what are you betting on, futures or something? Matt goes, no, the video game. Matt was betting on – what is it, a simulation? What are you betting on?
They're kids playing against each other.
All right, well, there you go. More of a reason to tail cautiously.
Who puts odds on that?
I have no fucking clue.
That's amazing. All right, boys, on to the next fight. We have Tisha, the Tiny Tornado Torres, at 10-5, going up against Brianna Van Buren, who is 9-2. Currently, they have Tisha Torres at plus 165. Brianna Van Buren is a minus 210. Matt?
I'm gonna go Tisha here. I'm gonna start a run on underdogs. We just hit one with Burial. We hit one with Courtney Casey. I'm gonna keep it moving with Tisha here. She is on a losing streak right now, but she's losing to like top of the food chain fighters. So, and I know she's, like Mike said to me pre-podcast, she's not getting better in those fights, but I don't remember seeing anything out of Brianna Van Buren that would lead me to believe she should be 2-1 here. I'm 100% going Tisha. She just fought Marina Rodriguez, lost that. And before that, she's facing all people that either are champions or were former champions. She's Weili Zhang, Joanna, Andrade. Like, she's facing top fighters. You're almost getting double your money here, so I'm going to keep the run on underdogs going and say that Tisha grinds out a W. Take her plus 165. Chris, what do you think?
I completely agree with you on this one. Tisha has been, an underdog in perpetuity, it seems like, and people are counting her out. I mean, granted, I think I've bet on her, not on her last fight. I definitely bet on her and she lost. A couple of other past. I think Weili Zhang. I think that was before. That was like Weili's coming out party kind of. So I might have even faded Weili. I'm not even sure. But anyways, I'm gonna ride with Tisha in this one again, being that her partner Raquel Pennington's on this card. They've definitely been training together. They both look in really good shape from their Instagrams. She's a vet, like you said. I really value experience a lot. I'm not super high on her, I was about to say, but I'm high on her in this fight, especially at underdog odds. Again, fans first. But with that being said, I like her in this fight. Experience means a lot to me. And she's on a 4-fight skid secretly. And that's why no one's made a big deal about that because of who she's fighting. So I don't see her losing 5 in a row, and I think she takes this one.
First off, let me agree with both of you. I don't think the line should be what it is. At 2-1 over Tisha Torres is totally just disrespectful, especially because Brianna has like almost no experience on her record. Like, I can't name one fighter that she's beaten that is reputable. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it's actually, I was just looking, it's her second fight in the UFC. Before this, she was obviously an Invicta. She did face a couple of people that I think are or were in the UFC at one point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the name Jamie Moyle pops out to me. Kaylin Curran, and then her most recent fight was in the UFC, obviously. And she's on a 4-fight win streak, which in my opinion is the only thing driving these odds. Back to you, Mike.
So I watched a little bit of tape on Brianna, and the thing I was looking out for is that in order to beat Tisha, you have to have a couple of things. You need to have better stand-up than her, and you need to have good cardio. And I was watching Brianna's fight, and she has both of those things. And again, I disagree with the line, but I do think that Tisha's not getting any better. Every time she steps in the octagon, it's the same exact game plan. It's the same exact outcome. She just looks totally average. And experience is huge, but I think Brianna is just a little bit better. And this is a girls fight at 115. So it's probably going to go to the decision. If Brianna can edge out a couple of rounds, then, it's just all she wrote. Tisha Torres 0-5 in her last 5. I can totally see that. So my pick is going to be Brianna, but at minus 210, I am not touching it. I'm not even throwing it in a parlay. I'm just going to watch it. Casual fan.
I'm going to bet it.
And Matt's going to bet it, obviously.
Shockingly, Tisha's bigger. You know, her nickname's Tiny Tornado. She's bigger than her. Brianna's listed at 4'11". Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Brianna is the smallest person in the division. She's, barely 5 foot.
Take this to the bank. Take out your 401k, put it on Tisha.
Yeah, okay. Not for me. Maybe you, Matt. But up next, we have kind of a throwback fight of two vets. Another line I completely disagree with. We have Clay the Carpenter Guida going up against Bobby Green at the 155-pound weight division. Currently, they got Bobby Green at minus 240 going up against Clay Guida's plus 185. Matt.
Dude, who's making these odds? I'm not saying Clay Guida. I mean, granted, he's 100 years old, but like Bobby Green, dude, like he lost his last two. His only win since 2014 is Eric Koch, if that's how you say it. Yeah. And I mean, Clay Guida just beat BJ Penn, but these days BJ Penn is beating himself. I don't know, man. We've seen Clay Guida. I mean, he could literally be 100 years old, and I will trust his gas tank forever to fight the fight that he fights. And shout out to bestfightodds.com. I'm looking at that right now. They actually have Clay Guida plus 215 and Bobby Green's pushing minus 300. I think that's fucking bananas, if you ask me. I'm keeping the run on underdogs going. Clay Guida all the way. I think he makes this a dirty fight, just as Clay Guida's done his whole career, and I think he pulls it out. Chris?
I agree with you guys. I mean, plus 300 or minus 300, that's crazy. Like, but me, Bobby Green, I don't know about being minus that big to anyone. Both of them are chinny though at this point, and I think that the odds makers are going based on the fact that Clay got hurt in his last fight before being choked unconscious by Jim Miller, and it's not like Jim Miller's knocking anybody out left and right, you know. So I think that's kind of the odds makers are just basing it off of Clay being way over the hill. I mean, and again, we're picking these as fans. Granted, we picking who we think is going to win, but I'm not telling you to bet on Clay Guida at plus money just because, he's going to win. But I do think that Clay Guida is going to win. So I kind of just totally contradicted myself. But I think Clay Guida could outlast Bobby Green. Bobby Green doesn't have the best cardio. I remember when he fought Dustin Poirier put him right in the first round. And Bobby Green was kind of gassed out by the end of the fucking round. And Clay Guida can literally run 15 miles and then go fight 3 rounds. So I'm going with Clay Guida based on cardio and the takedown advantage.
Matt, Chris, I think you nailed it on the head. I think the odds makers made the line that way because Bobby Green in the first round has a significant chance to drop Clay Guida and finish this fight. Clay used to have a chin of steel, but, with, having 35-19 record, like you're getting punched in the face a tremendous amount. And Bobby Green, 24-10, not that much more impressive, but his strong suit is his striking in the first round. He does gas significantly as the fight goes on, whereas Clay Guida seems to get stronger. So my pick is also going to be Clay Guida, but with a huge asterisk. Another fight with a tremendous amount of value, but I won't put stock into it because Clay Guida is possibly might get knocked out in the first round. But with that being said, if it does go to the second and third round, I think it's Clay Guida all day. And if he loses that first round, I could see it being 29-28 on the judges' scorecard in Clay Guida's favor at the conclusion of the fight. So I am going to pick Clay Guida at the betting window. It's pass here. I just think if anybody lays the chalk on Bobby Green at minus 240, you deserve to lose your money, or minus 300. You deserve to lose your money. That's like putting minus 190 on Tim Elliott. Like, what are you, stupid? No, don't do that.
I did that. I did that.
Right. There you go. Don't do like that.
No, in all seriousness, no, like we're looking at this as if you're betting the whole card, right? So in my opinion, I'd rather risk $100 to win close to 250 as opposed to risking $300 for a guy that has one win since 2014. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if you absolutely have to bet this fight, just take plus money. Like, even if it's whoever, like, you're just not betting a guy has one win since 2014. It's 3-1. Don't do it. Find better places to put your money, like this next fight Mike's about to get into.
Yeah. All right, so we got up next Jim Miller, the ever-active Jim Miller. I think this might be his 35th appearance in the octagon, which is, beyond impressive. He's a Jersey boy. He trained like 10 minutes from my house like all my life, so I was a big Jim Miller fan. But he's going up against Roosevelt Roberts here, who's a young prospect on a roll. We got Roosevelt Roberts, and this line is absolutely accurate. Roosevelt Roberts is a minus 240 going against Jim Miller at plus 185. Go ahead, Matt.
See, this is a fight where I think that the odds should be what they are for the Clay Guida fight. I think that Roberts should be a bigger favorite. He's been on a roll. I understand why they're a little bit closer because similar to the Guida fight, we could see Jim Miller use his grappling. But I'm definitely going Roberts here. I don't know if we're doing the lock of the night yet, but this will be my lock of the night when we get there. I'm really high on Roberts. I actually, like an asshole, took Brock Weaver the last time out. I ended up betting Roberts, though, but whatever. Definitely going to go Roberts here. I like what Dana's doing with him. He's keeping him active. He's long, man. He's a long fighter. I think he pops. I think he knocks Jim Miller out. I would look at the odds for under, and I would look at the odds for Roberts by TKO/KO. For sure. You know, I think this is a fight meant to springboard Roberts, unfortunately, at the cost of a absolute legend, in my opinion, Jersey guy and the whole nine, like Mike said. But, you know, it's going to be Roosevelt tonight. Chris?
So I have two things on this. One, I have been so mad at myself lately because when we do these podcast picks, I find myself, believing the hype and sipping the Kool-Aid on some of these prospects and Roosevelt Roberts is another one who I'm doing it on, where, he's still relatively new to the UFC, Dana White Contender Series coming to the UFC, yada, yada. But then you're fighting a guy like Jim Miller who has the most fights in UFC history, essentially, right up there. And I'm picking against Jim Miller again. I'm doing it again. But Roosevelt Roberts is one of the prospects that I'm very high on. He looked so good in his last fight against Roosevelt Roberts. Granted, he was a big favorite, but he came out, was significantly better everywhere. Granted, Brock Weaver is very green. So this is another fight that I'm picking. I'm going to pick Roberts. I know Matt said he's giving it the lock of the night. But I'm going to say just tail this one a little bit cautiously just based on the experience differential here. But I do think Jim Miller's a little bit over the hill, but he keeps delivering. Like, he just choked out Clay Guida. And then he lost his last fight. He lost the decision, Jim Miller.
Holtzman.
It's kind of Holtzman. That's right. And that's right. So I'm going to fade Miller here. I'm going to go with Roosevelt Roberts. I think trying to push him. They're going to move him up slowly, which I think is the way to do it. And then the second thing I just wanted to share was the excitement. Like we said, being Jersey boys, the excitement on my buddy Reed's face when Jim Miller gave him a high five at UFC 208. I thought I wanted to look at the elation. Ready?
Oh, that's amazing. I love
So I just wanted to give Reed a shout out because he was so happy. Me and him got those seats right near the walkout. It was awesome seeing Jim Miller walk out. Granted, he lost to Dustin Poirier, but I just wanted to give Reed and Jim Miller a shout out for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna fade Jim Miller as much as I love him as a fan. He's just not what he was. His chin is compromised. Everything at this point in his career, along with his age and the wear and tear on his body, is compromised. So betting on him is very, very volatile. He always has a chance to win because his grappling and submission game is very, very, very good. But at this point, Roosevelt Roberts is younger, hungrier, better in the stand-up, and well-versed on the ground. So the odds are very appropriate, and I do think that even at minus 240, there's a lot of value on Roberts, especially if you put him in a parlay. I do believe he's a lock, and I do think that's perfect pick, Matt. Any other thoughts on this particular fight, guys? Because this one's, it's a fun one. All right. Up next, we have Lyman Good going to get up against Bilal Muhammad. Right now, they have Bilal Muhammad at a minus 152 as the favorite. Lyman Good is sitting at around plus 120 as the underdog. Matt?
I'm definitely I hate this trend on fucking underdogs I'm doing. I'm going to continue here with Lyman Good for sure. Again, Jersey dude actually hits a. I don't know if he goes there anymore, but I've seen him at a deli in my town called Vicaries. Shout out to them. They're awesome. What's his name eats there too, actually. The fuck's his name? Jimmy Rivera. But anyway, I'm definitely going Lyman Good here. We know exactly what Bilal Muhammad's going to do. We know exactly what he's going to do. Isn't that the dude? That's the dude on the Jets. Yeah, it's the Jets running back. But yeah, he's a decision fighter. He likes to grind. I don't think he packs anything behind any of his punches at all. and Lyman Good could crack and he could wrestle. I don't think Bilal Muhammad's going to get him to the ground and grind him out like he does everybody else. And honestly, I mean, it may sound a little like a weird way to look at it, but Good, I think, is just going to be the bigger, stronger fighter in there. I think he's going to bully him a little bit, and I think getting even money with him or plus 110, whatever Mike said it is right now, is solid value. And I've just never liked Bilal Muhammad. I'm a little bit biased. I don't know what he's good at, really. I don't think he's good at anything. He's just very average at all aspects of MMA. I don't know. Never been a fan. Talks a lot of shit on Twitter for no reason. Fuck that guy. Chris?
I like both of these guys. I obviously like Lyman Good more. I've met him a couple times in the Colonial Diner in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Shout out to Colonial Diner. But when I shook his hand, dude, my dick shrunk by like 4 inches, and that basically the whole thing. So he is, dude. He's strong. He's a big fucking dude. To fight at welterweight is fucking crazy. I think he was the inaugural Bellator welterweight champ, believe it or not. And yeah, he's got more experience behind him. I think what Bilal Muhammad is good at is staying in the fight. He fights tough fucking dudes and gets hit a lot and just stays in the fight. That's kind of his specialty. Whereas, like, you know, against Alan Jouban, he got hit a lot, and in the third round almost stopped Alan Jouban but lost. I think he went 3 rounds with Jeff Neal. So he stands in there with these big guys that pack a punch like Lyman Good. But I just see the fight going like that. Like I see Lyman Good's not going anywhere either. So I see Lyman Good winning. I don't think he could put away Muhammad maybe, but I do think that he could grind out a 3-round decision.
Yeah, Bilal seems like he always gets to that level, but he can't take that next step in order to get to that upper echelon. He's a grinder, he's a grappler, but he does not like to get punched. He has a great chin. He's only been KO'd by Luque, but you can tell when he gets hit, he does not like it, and he wants to get up in your face and grind you and take you down. And who cracks better than Lyman Good, man? He hits so hard. He absolutely destroyed Ben Saunders, absolutely destroyed Chance Rencounter. This guy can hit hard, and he's athletic. So as the fight goes on, I do think it favors Bilal in terms of cardio, but in that first round, and even in the second round, if he can crack him a few times and make Bilal, on his back step, I think it's going to be a really close fight. And, the line reflects that. I do think it's going to be a close fight. And I, too, am picking Lyman Good. Not even as a fan. I just think that he's like overall better than Muhammad. And I think this is going to be another step back from Muhammad. But with that being said, Muhammad's the decisionator for a reason. Like he always finds a way to stay in that fight, just like you said, Chris. But with that being said, picking Lyman Good, I do think he wins that fight. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm actually just going to bring that up after you. He has 16 wins, 11 by decision. So it kind of goes with the narrative that all of us are talking about. He's a grinder, stays in fights. Then you got a guy like Good who has just as many knockouts as Muhammad has decisions. I don't like guys that fight this way. Like I said, I'm biased. I'm definitely rolling Lyman Good here.
Word. Up next, we have Raquel Pennington, Rocky, still fighting, 10-8, tremendous record, going up against Marion Renault, who also has a tremendous record of 9-5. Currently, they have Raquel Pennington at -152 and Renault at +120. Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, if I have to bet the fight, I'm going to go Pennington. I think I would check the line on the over there for sure. I mean, I'm shocked this fight is this high on the card. I mean, I know Pennington's a vet and been around a minute. Maybe that's why it's so up there. But I don't know. I guess Rocky Pennington just to grind out a W. Chris?
I had to unmute myself. I almost forgot. But I'm going with exactly what you just said is exactly how I see it. She does. Like 10-8 is like I was kind of lost for words. Like now that we're doing the podcast, I've been a lifelong fan. Now that I'm analyzing their records and reading who they beat and how and this, that, the other thing, 10-8 is not a good record coming from Rocky. But I think Rocky's better than her record shows. She's fought much better competition. I mean, she got beat down by Amanda Nunes, but she still went essentially 5 rounds with her. She beat Miesha Tate in the Garden. You know what I mean? So I just see, and like I was saying before with Keisha, they've been training together. They look really good on Instagram. So I'm hoping they pull it out together and the partners can both get W's on this card. I'm looking for Rocky to do what she does best and just grind down Renault on this card, on this fight, and win a decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's just going to have to grind down Renault. Fun fact, Renault turns 43 on Saturday on fight day. And, Rocky's 31. She's still young. She just has a lot of miles on her, and she physically looks older than 31. But people forget, like, she's still technically in her prime. Not that she's looked like she's in her prime as of late, but still, a 11-year difference is kind of a big factor in the fight that people aren't really talking about. I don't think there's as much value at minus 152. Another fight I'm going to stay away from at the betting window. So, watch this one. Don't watch this one. I really don't think it matters in terms of the division, contenders, all that shit. Next up, we have one of the most exciting fights of the night. Josh Emmett, who has quietly been the underdog king as of late, going up against Shane Burgos, who is 13-1. Currently, they got minus 137 for Burgos and plus 110 for Emmett. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Ooh, boy, another tough one. I love this fight, guys. I absolutely love this fight. You got Burgos on a 3-fight winning streak. He absolutely cracks. You got Emmett on a 2-fight winning streak, knocking out Bektik and Michael Johnson. Before that, Jeremy Stevens ended his life. I don't know, man. I love Burgos, dude. He's a New York guy. This is so tough. These guys are going to just stand and bang. There's no way around it. They're going to stand, they're going to bang, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to go with Burgos. I think this is his first fight back on his new contract. This is a fan pick, guys. I like both guys a lot. Josh Emmett looks like he trains in Chernobyl. I'm definitely going to go with Shane Burgos here. I'm not confident at all. To me, whoever lands the bigger shot first, in my opinion. Chris?
That's my voice never even started that time. That's what I'm basing off of. So I was looking at this fight. This fight. I crossed up my pick about 5 times. Sorry, I just hit my mic. But the way I see this going is they're going to stand and bang. Josh Emmett packs a punch, and Shane Burgos leaves his chin exposed a lot. So, and I can't erase that Calvin Kattar knockout from my brain. That was brutal. Emmett can box. He can wrestle. We were just hyping up Team Alpha Male with Andre Feely, and I mean, yeah, Emmett got cracked by Jeremy Stevens, and the illegal knee, and you have with May. I mean, I'm rambling right now just because I'm trying to make a pick in my head. I'm gonna go with Burgos, but Emmett at plus money is a live dog. You know what I mean? Like, he packs a punch, and Burgos' chin is there to be hit. With that being said, earlier this morning when I went on the UFC website to do a rundown of the entire card, the front page was Shane Burgos and a story about him. So I think the UFC is putting him in the co-main event for a reason and trying to push him. So that's even packing a little bit more into my pick, why I'm going Burgos.
I wonder if Emmett comes out and tries to wrestle. Maybe he knows.
That's one thing that I don't know if I mentioned, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's completely possible. I don't remember ever seeing Burgos in that world. So, I might switch this pick, guys. Keep an eye out for when we put up our picks everywhere. You got to follow us to see them. But anyway, keep an eye out. I might switch this. This is tough. Mike?
I'm glad you brought up the grappling aspect because it would be interesting to see if Emmett takes to the ground. But Burgos does have the submission in the UFC over Kurt Hollebug way back, but nothing impressive. But nonetheless, he is well-versed on the ground. We just don't see it that much because he likes to stay on the feet. He's going to go out there. He's going to be grinning, fighting the whole time because he wants to fight. He's one of those guys that gets in the cage and he just wants to fight. And he has like one of the highest percentage of strikes landed in like UFC history, something crazy like that. Shout out to MMA numbers by MMA. He's got all the best statistics. But I just think that he's better striking, 100%. He's a better striker than Emmett, but Emmett has that, fight-ending strike. And if Emmett wins this fight, this will be the 3rd fight in a row where he was an underdog and wins, probably by KO, because if it goes the distance, I do think that Burgos is going to get this one. The grappling is just the biggest X factor in this fight. And if he does try to grapple against Burgos, and he's very, he's strong as hell. There's probably not that many people that are stronger than Emmett at 145. If he can get to the ground, I can see him totally just holding him down there for the whole round. So it's going to be interesting. I am picking Burgos. I think he's the better fighter. I think the UFC is trying to push him. I agree with you there, Chris. And I think that he's just going to, stick and move, and go out there and just – I think he's going to put on a clinic. I think he's going to win a sound 30-27. If there's no grappling involved, I think he wins 30-27 across the board. Go ahead, Chris.
Just to even further what we're talking about, so if you can see my picks, I wrote Emmett down this morning when I was making my picks as an underdog because of the grappling factor, that being the X factor. He's fat. Like, I think it's going to be this is one of those ones where I'll be like, okay, let me just see 1 minute of the fight and I'll let you know who's going to win, because I want to see who's quicker, because Emmett might have the speed advantage and he's going to be a little bit bigger as well as having the speed advantage. Burgos is fast, but Emmett used to fight at 155, and this is going to be a featherweight fight, obviously. And if he has a speed advantage and power advantage and grappling advantage, then Emmett is a live dog. But I am going to stick with Burgos on this one. I just wanted to show this is how much of a nail biter this one is and why all three of us are having such a hard time picking.
Yeah, Emmett is constantly underrated, constantly underestimated in all his fights. I mean, like the way he knocked out Lamas, the way he knocked out Michael Johnson, and the way he TKO'd Bektik is just – it shows he has actual dynamite in his hands. Okay, so
Mike,
go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Did you just say Emmett was a dog against Michael Johnson?
Yeah, he's like
plus
130.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I remember because I had a 4-fight parlay that night that were all dogs, and he was one of them, and it hit. I remember specifically. Yeah.
Oh my God! Like I'm listening to that right now. Like not even hindsight's 20/20, but I mean, he was losing the fight up until the knockout, though, right?
Oh yeah, he was losing significantly, clearly losing.
But dude, oh man, looking back, it's like, holy shit. Like I would have laid the house on Emmett. Not literally, but I'm saying I would have put fucking money on that. Granted, I would probably been sore after the first 2 rounds, but damn, that's pretty surprising. My bad. That just hit me, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I can't imagine him winning his 3rd underdog victory in a row. It just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's supposed to happen, and obviously the UFC, MMA doesn't follow a storyline. There's no storybook endings, but it doesn't seem like it's meant to happen, and it's meant like Shane is supposed to win this fight. But no, that's all, hogwash when it comes down to, when that bell rings, shit hits the fan, anything can happen. Main event, Curtis Blaydes sitting at a crazy -400 going up against Alexander Volkov, who's sitting at a +300. Matt.
I was surprised when I saw these odds. I don't know about you guys, but Volkov is a pretty fucking good heavyweight, dude. He's no slouch at all. I mean, I like Blaydes a lot. I've liked Blaydes since day one. I remember Chris used to rip me when Blaydes first started in the UFC because I was like, he's going to be good. I really like him. You're like, dude, fuck that guy. But no, I don't know, dude. This one's tough. I almost want to go Volkov because of the money. Don't get me wrong. Blaydes is going to win. He's better literally everywhere. I don't see a way he loses his fight. But that money for a guy like Volkov is very fucking tempting. But I'm going to go Blaydes. I think he takes him down and just grounds and pounds him, and you just see a difference in strength and size in there. Even though Volkov will be the taller guy, I think it just makes it all the easier for a guy like Curtis Blaydes to shoot a double leg and get him to the ground. His wrestling's no joke, man. Chris?
I agree. He did used to give you shit, especially after the first Ngannou fight. He just showed toughness. He had no striking whatsoever. He's kind of a raw wrestler, and his ground and pound wasn't even that good. And now he's kind of coming into his own. He's got stoppages on the feet. He looks really good. And the odds are very steep. There's obviously value in betting Volkov. He's a very good heavyweight, ex-Bellator champion, has great wins. He put it on Verdum. He has good wins, and he's a good heavyweight. His record is insane, too, especially at heavyweight. And I just think that Curtis Blaydes is coming into his own. He looks primed to be a champion. So this is I did some stuff today. If you look at the top 10 at heavyweight, including the champion, Stipe is 37, Cormier 41, Ngannou 33, Blaydes is 29, Lewis 35, JDS is 36, Rosenstruik's 32, Volkov is 31, Overeem's 40, Walt Harris is 27, and Augusto Sakai is actually 29 as well. The average top 10 or top 11, if you count the champion, heavyweight is 35 years old, which is, over the hill, but that's actually coming down compared to what it used to be. And there's kind of a new heavyweight is seeing some new faces, with Blaydes being in the top 3, Sakai coming into the top 10, Rosenstruik in the top 6. So I think that Blaydes is kind of the new era. And, once Cormier is going to be gone soon, Stipe is 37. It's Blaydes and Ngannou at the top of the division. And though Ngannou has those 2 wins over Blaydes, the second one was clear cut. Like, Ngannou won that fight. The first one was a stoppage because of the eye. His eye was, completely swollen shut, but he was hanging in there and eating those shots. So if you could eat Ngannou's shots and stay in there, especially with that wrestling game, you were primed to be a champion. So I can see Blaydes, getting another shot in the very, very near future. He earns his shot. He deserves a shot. So this is one of those fights where it's weird because it kind of doesn't really put him any, like, you beat Volkov and no one really is going to be hype after that. But if he gets like a big victory here, that could be really good for him, which I think the UFC is priming to do. Hence why he's such a big favorite.
Yeah, I think Volkov is kind of like the dark horse of the heavyweight division. Like, people don't realize if he didn't lose that last second KO loss to Derek Lewis, he would be quietly on a 6-fight win streak, an impressive one over that, with wins over Struve, Verdum, Roy Nelson, and most recently Greg Hardy. So I do think he's being severely underestimated. But with that being said, I do think Blaydes wins. I mean, you're not going to stop his power double, man. He's going to be taken down, and the only thing that might tempt me to put a little bit of money on Volkov is strictly the line, like plus 300. Like, if you have that much of a veteran heavyweight who's very sound on the feet and decent enough on the ground, plus 300 all day. But my pick is going to be Blaydes for the sheer reason that I just don't see a way he loses this fight unless he somehow gets starched on the feet. I think it's going to be a quick takedown, maybe 2 to 3 rounds, and then maybe, Volkov can defend himself off his back very well, but, Blaydes with those elbows, man, the way he knocked out Alistair Overeem, like, I'll never get that image out of my head, man. That was a nasty knockout. So my pick is going to be Blaydes, but at the betting window, I might sprinkle a little bit on Volkov just for that crazy plus money.
I think there's the reason that odds might be so in favor of Blaydes is because you look at heavyweight and you could say, oh, well, he can knock him out. I'm not saying Volkov doesn't hit hard. He's a big fucking dude. He obviously hits hard, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't remember him having like that true heavyweight one-punch knockout power. Like, he puts it on you in volume. He has a lot of volume. So I think they're looking at it like, all right, he's not going to one-punch KO Blaydes. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to find a reason behind this crazy line. And Mike, please do me a favor and never, ever bring up that Derek Lewis fight ever again. Ever. Like, that was so fucking
Also, the
bad.
odds this big at heavyweight is crazy because, heavyweight, MMA is a wild fucking sport as is, let alone give it 2 heavyweights, with that big of a line. But I think the reason for the line is the takedown, the clear fucking cut takedown advantage. I almost said Struve, but Volkov fights so long, unlike Stefan Struve, that Volkov, like you were saying, Matt, he doesn't have that true one-punch knockout power, but maybe if he uses his length and uses a jab, he can keep Curtis Blaydes at range, but I do not see that happening. And I do see Blaydes getting on the inside, getting the takedown, and finishing it there.
All right, boys. So I just want to recap some of our locks. So I'm picking Frivola at a pick'em price. I think he's going to be my lock. I think he takes Camacho to the decision. Matt has chosen Roosevelt Roberts, who I think is like just as good as lock, if not better. I just think he's going to totally take it to Jim Miller. And Jim Miller, veteran he is, I just don't think he wins this fight. Chris, have you come up with a lock?
I'm going with Matt, like what he said before it. I'm going to go with Roosevelt Roberts and just double down on him.
All right, so those listening, you hear Roosevelt Roberts. If there's any fight to tail, it's probably this one because we got two of our guys here. Love him as a lock, and me too at minus 240. Tremendous value. And real quick, I want to throw a little parlay out there. I got Roosevelt Roberts and Frivola, my lock. It comes out to plus 153. I think that's tremendous value, and I think it hits easy.
One thing I did, which I was kind of sour about. I put a parlay in with Blaydes being in it on DraftKings. I never hit it until usually like Friday or Saturday. 95 as of like 2 or 3 days ago, and now he's up to, I'm looking right now, he's minus 390. So I have to prove the odds change. So I never got it at that, but that's how much the line moved. So that's another thing where we're saying look how big this line is, but money moved that line to be that big.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's
so that's a good reason why Volkov is good value at plus 300 or whatever he is, because he opened at plus 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, the betting public is obviously behind Curtis Blaydes purely off his dominance. And like I said, I think Volkov's like this dark horse, man, that quietly should be on a 6-0 fight win streak in the UFC, but he's just not because of that brutal Derek Lewis KO loss. So I'm eager to see this main event. I really am, even though it might be lopsided. It probably will. But if Volkov can pull something out of his ass, like, it'd be exciting, man. He deserves to be at the top, man. He's very good. He's very, very good. Anybody have closing? Go ahead.
Matt, put your hat back on, dude.
I know, dude. It's so bad. I'm just wearing a fucking hat, man. Shout out to Stingo, who couldn't get me a haircut. He got me one and then canceled on me 10 hours later. The haircut's so bad. There's 3 quick announcements real quick. Over the last 24 hours, we had 3 fights announced. We got Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige, which is going to be a fucking banger if you ask me. I'm all aboard the Kattar train. I hope you are in this one, Mike, because I know you like Ige, but
no, I'm with Kattar all the way. This is where
Ige
runs.
We got Derek Lewis versus Alexei Olenek. Derek Lewis better win that fight or retire. Like, not get taken down and choked out, please, Derek Lewis. And this last one, dude, I don't know what to think about this. It's a weird one. Chris Weidman versus Omari Akhmedov.
Oh.
So Weidman's back.
Akhmedov.
So Weidman's back. That's August 8th.
I didn't see that. When was that?
It was announced 40 minutes ago.
I have another one.
Oh, while we were on here.
Yeah, we were on here. I didn't want to interrupt, but I figured I'd just toss it in there at the end.
Oh, shit.
I have another one that was just announced as well. Did you guys see Yoel Romero is fighting Uriah Hall, actually, just got announced.
These are just getting announced. I'm like going on Twitter now, bro. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yo, remember when we saw Uriah Hall in the subway?
Yeah.
And you thought we were fighting the UFC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys fighting tonight? We were like, no. I'm wearing jeans.
Uriah Hall, I'm 5'6" and 180 pounds. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good news. I'm definitely rooting for Weidman on that. I like Uriah Hall. He was awesome to us, but I do not see him beating Yoel Romero in any way, shape, or form. Yoel Romero forgot that he knows how to wrestle, though, so maybe he keeps on the feet and stops him. That would be pretty fucking cool. Do not see that happening. Some other news / rumors. I'm going to drop some rumors on you guys. According to the Schmo Zone podcast with Dave the Schmo Schmolenson and Helen Yee Sports, they had Dana White on, and they asked him about Izzy versus Costa coaching tough. And he kind of, like, facial expressions mean a lot. Like the way they asked him for a reason. They must have heard something, you know. But I like that and I don't like that. Izzy on tough would give him, you know, they always like to have something like that on tough, give it a lot of exposure, but Costa barely speaks English. So those tough, like, scripted fights basically on the show, like when they argue every time they see each other. Granted, they do have some heat between them, but, like, if you can't speak English, you can't really go back and forth, you know? So that's one piece of news. The other piece of news, 2 other things. Yas Island, which is Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, is not part of the 5-year Abu Dhabi deal. So this is not part of that. This is completely separate, which a lot of people were confusing it. I mean, I thought it was kind of obvious because no one fucking thought coronavirus was going to happen. They were going to have to get Yas Island, but that's not part of it. And third, being that the Reebok deal is up this year, Dana White said that between Nike, Under Armour, and Venom, one of those 3 are essentially going to be the new partnership with the UFC. Any of which will be fucking sick.
Would be sick.
For all of their own reasons. Like, I think Nike is always going to be king. You know, Nike's king of kings. John Jones used to have a Nike sponsorship back in the day until he decided to do cocaine and crash cars. Under Armour, super futuristic, in my opinion. I think that's the best for the UFC style, you know, best style matchup, futuristic looking. And I think that Under Armour would be the best for the UFC, even though Nike's cream of the crop. And Venom is already combat sports everything. So Venom being with them, they're already in the space, and that could blow them up big time, which would be cool to see. So I think any of the three are going to shit on the Reebok deal personally.
I think it's weird. Wait, do you know whose decision it is to does UFC say, all right, we're done with Reebok, or did Reebok say fuck it? Because Reebok before this UFC deal, they were kind of dead. Like this kind of revived the whole Reebok company because they lost NFL and then got into the UFC like a couple years later, and this was like a second chance for them.
They right before UFC 189, McGregor and Mendez, they signed a 5-year exclusive deal with Reebok, and the 5-year deal is just expiring. So it's not that one side said this or that. It's just this is the end of the deal. And I think that both sides are somewhat unhappy. Reebok, UFC gets a lot of slack for parting with Reebok because Reebok is kind of dead. Like, I don't wear anything that's fucking Reebok other than the UFC shit. You know what I mean? No one really wears Reebok. So they're trying to get out of that space. I think it was more a proof of concept, and Reebok, they got the Reebok deal for a good price because Reebok was in need. But if you get someone like fucking Nike, that's the cream of the crop, and you're going to ride with that 10 times out of 10. And now that they have that ESPN deal, that's just even more exposure. So
yeah, man, I agree.
It wasn't that one side pulled out.
I think Venom would be sick just because, like you said, that's their bread and butter already. They're combat sports. But then again, Nike, I don't know. It's cool. I'm interested to see what happens. And Venom's got some cool styles, man. I mean, not that Nike and Under Armour don't, though, but like they know how to make things look really aggressive. I wore all their shit when I trained Muay Thai. Like it's a sick company. But any of which I think would be great. And you also look at a money aspect. Maybe a company like Nike helps bring in more money for UFC fighters, Maybe there's more royalty with people buying fights.
Exactly.
Yeah, a big argument that people didn't like about Reebok was like they weren't paying as much as homegrown sponsors were paying for some of these fighters. So it's kind of embarrassing on Reebok's part that you can't like match the sponsorship pay of like some local sponsors. So now that this Reebok deal is coming to an end, you have 3 prestigious brands that are about to hit the UFC, with a great splash. Man, I'm excited for the UFC fighters to get paid more, especially now with all this drama going on about UFC fighters in general just not getting enough money. Now's the time where these sponsors are going to step up, and I really think, especially like you said, ESPN exposure, man, this is when fighter pay gets a little bit higher, and deservedly so. All right, boys. So episode 12 in the books. Any closing statements, questions, concerns, gambling advice, or lack thereof? Anybody?
Chris, did you want to? I misunderstood you pre-podcast. Did you want to do the Mount Rushmore on here, or is that going to be a Twitter, like a social media poll type deal?
Send it to me so you have time to think. I don't want to put you on the spot because I want you to have to think about it.
I've been thinking about it this whole time, and I came up with an interesting one, like real interesting.
Let's hear it. Shout it out.
So all right. Obviously, I got Hoist in there. I got Silva. I got GSP. And this last one he's not even a fighter. It's the fucking granddaddy of them all, dude. It's Dana White. He's on. Dude, we wouldn't be here without him. Yeah. He got us to – He got UFC to the big stage with ESPN. Dude, we literally UFC is mentioned in the world of like NFL and NBA now. Like, it's all because of Dana White. To me, he is so essential to this company, and I think you'd be crazy not to like enter a discussion with him in your Mount Rushmore. Like he is UFC. In my opinion, he's as important to this sport as any single fighter.
Dude, he said that. One thing that I was really happy that he said that, and he just said it like in conversation. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to be doing this every Saturday for the next 10 years," and he just kept talking, and that made me pumped as fuck because there's no, like, I always get scared in my head. Like, I hate change. I know that's a terrible thing to do, but I'm bad with change, and I want Dana White at the head. Like, I love his attitude. I love his outlook. I love his opinions. His fuck you opinion. If you're not with me, you're against me, basically. And I'm totally on board for that. And I think that you need that in a sport like the UFC. And within the next 10 years, I think the UFC will be like, one of the main sports in the world, the MMA, but UFC more specifically, being that it's on ESPN. And with Dana White at the helm, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Man, that was so funny this weekend. You called Bob Arum a dickhead.
Because Cornhole legitimately pulled 290,000 viewers on ESPN, and Top Rank, which is taped. Cornhole is taped. And when it was aired, they had 290,000 viewers. Top Rank Boxing live did 310.
Oh wow,
That's so crazy, dude. He goes, "You're
That's
fucking
crazy,
genius."
bro. So, but anything, Mike, you got anything?
no, I'm just enjoying listening to you guys. You guys got, man, we're the best. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but we just keep this going, man. We are a seamless, nonstop conversationalist, three hardcore fans that just know the sport in and out. We love it so much, and I love doing this with you guys. It's a blast. So again, please follow us on Twitter, MMA X Gossip, Instagram, MMA X Gossip, YouTube, MMA Gossip. Subscribe, like, comment. We are email at us at mmAxgossip@gmail.com. We're looking forward to just doing this for the rest of our lives. And with that being said, we are 5 out of 5 stars with 55 rankings on Apple iTunes. We're everywhere. Eventually, we're going to be as mainstream as MMAfighting.com, as mainstream as anything can possibly be. We're going to get there. It's exciting. Follow us. Keep on the bandwagon. We're not stopping. We're not slowing down. All
And
right.
for all you guys that like listen to Bloody Elbow and go on their website, if they can make it, so can we. Because fuck those guys.
Yeah. Bloody Elbow's a bunch of whack-ass Democrats that don't know what the fuck they're
And for all you guys that don't want to pay for Spotify one day, and when Joe Rogan's deal is up, you're looking for a new daily podcast. We'll be giving more content out by then. Subscribe, and we'll be the new fucking Joe Rogan of the Apple Store, so you guys don't have to switch over to Spotify.
Absolutely. With that being said, love MMA. Be well. Love the sport. We'll see you guys Saturday at, I think, around 6 o'clock. We'll be watching, cracking beers, sipping on it all the way to the end when Alexander Volkov pulls some shit out of his ass, probably, and we're all wrong on a minus 400.
Hopefully not.
Probably not. I mean, but then again, as always, we will release our picks on Saturday morning, and we will keep a record of our podcast. I'm about to take the first place over Matt because Matt's picks are always on the side. No, okay, boys. Anything else to say before I quit? I had to hit the X button, baby. All right, be well, everybody. See you next week.